Now that I have a lot of screens created, I'm going to dive into prototyping, which is actually really fun. And what that means is I'm going to link all these screens together with some interactivity. In fact, I'm going to start with this one right up here. So with it selected, Command 3, we'll zoom in on what's selected. And I want to link this Explore button to this Explore screen or artboard. Well, how do you do that? Just by going to the Prototype tab. This is where most of it happens. So I can select this button right here, or really anything for that matter, and you're going to get this little arrow tab. That arrow tab lets you point to anything else that you want to point to, or any other screen or artboard. So pointing it to this Explore artboard, notice how I get the ability to target that artboard. I can change the transition to anything that I want, sliding, pushing, or even dissolving. I think I'll start with dissolve, keep it simple. And when you're on this page, clicking on this button will take you back to this home screen. And notice how it remembers the last used transition. Notice how it's also going to happen by this easing ease out. So it's going to slow down as it reaches the last bit of this 0.4 seconds. All right. And before we test this transition, I want you to be aware of this little tag right here. This says, hey, you know what? This is the home page. I could really make any artboard my home page or starting point. I'm, of course, going to make it that one. Clicking preview. Going down to this button, clicking on it, and you can see it transition with a dissolve, and then clicking back. Really straightforward, really smooth, thanks to the easing. But now, once we're on this page, I actually want to link all of these various photos to their respective artboards. So that's my next goal. Right over here. Notice how this is actually a repeat grid. So I need to double click to enter inside of it and locate this particular graphic. And what do? In fact, I'm just going to do Command minus just to zoom out some, a touch more, and then pointing that to that second screen here. And really it's the first detail screen. And in this case, I'm going to have it slide up. All right. And that's all I need to do. So I can kind of go on down the line, pointing this to this one, having it slide up, pointing this one to this screen right here, having them all slide up. But I'm going to show you some shortcuts here in a second. And as I start to locate this one, it might be kind of tricky dragging and pointing to these screens depending on how far away they are, because this one gets pretty far away. Well, what you can do for any element that you want to link, you can click right on that arrow tag. And from here, this will allow you to choose the artboard. So rather than dragging and pointing, you can just select mile top, which is the last element, and it's going to slide up. Fantastic. Okay, so we can kind of test that out. I think you already know what may or may not happen, but let's dive into this. As I click on this first one, it's going to slide up, and now we need to build in functionality for this back button. Okay, so for this back button, well, to be honest with you, you can get to this detail screen a number of places. So if you could imagine a map view linking to this Athens, Greece detail screen, well, in that case, you don't want to hard code it, if you will. So if I point to another screen, that's like hard coding it back to a specific location. So typically for back buttons, if you click on it, you can say, hey, you know what? Instead of going to a specific artboard, just go to the previous artboard. What's going to happen? It's going to reverse the last used transition. I love that. Super easy to work with. I have that done. Check this out. I'm going to come in and I'm just going to copy this button and I'm going to go over here. Why did I copy it? Because if I right click now, I can actually just paste that interaction. Okay, because that's what I want all of these buttons to do. Another way of doing this is actually just pasting the the button. If I didn't have it already in place, I could paste it and the interaction would travel with it, if you know what I mean. So with this almost done, this makes it really easy to build in a back button, pasting those interactions. And let's do a Command 0 to view everything. And what I like to do is do a Command A to select all, or Control A, and you can see sort of the mapping of all of the various prototyping that's happening, linking from one screen to the next, and those back buttons. So this is a nice visual way just to see if I have everything connected correctly. All right, everything looks good. Good thing to do is just click right there on the preview button and preview on my desktop. We'll dive into this. Nice, nice, nice. You get the idea. All right. So far, so good. I could always change those transitions, but this is why I'd preview this, and I'd probably start to tweak this accordingly, whether I want this to slide up or content to slide from the left to the right. It's totally up to you, but you can see how easy it is to prototype using Adobe XD.